And good morning. It's Tuesday morning, so we should have a lot of energy today after the weekend. Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Trading with Latin America, or Bienvenidos, I can say that. I would like to introduce myself for the beginning. My name is Malin Janovu, and I'm the Business Development Manager for International Trade at Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce. We are the accredited Chamber of Commerce for Buckinghamshire, Berkshire, Oxfordshire, Heathrow, and Swindon. As an accredited chamber, we offer a wide portfolio of services from representation and lobbying to events and international trade services. We have a team of 18 people in the international trade here at the chamber, and we cover all the aspects of trading internationally, from market promotion to trade facilitation, including export and import documentation, trade and customs compliance consultancy, customs declarations, training, and a lot more. So please have a look on our webpage to find more about the services we are offering. I would like to inform you that the webinar is recorded this morning, and the recording of the session will be made available on our webpage, thamesvalleychamber.co.uk. In regards to the questions, if you wish to raise any questions about the topic today, please do so by using the Q&A facility, and we will endeavor to cover some during the session. And if we won't be able to during the time we have allocated, we will answer in an email at a later date. Our main goal for today is to offer you an overview of Latin America from an economic perspective. Latin America is a vast geographical area on the American continent south of the United States, and you probably all know that, covering numerous countries which speak a language that derived from Latin, like Spanish, Portuguese, not Romanian though. During today's webinar, our speakers will offer information about Latin America's main sectors, resources, business opportunities, and you will also find out about the practical aspects of trading in this market from Lynn. We are delighted to welcome our first presenter today, which is Tania Hoyos, founding member of the Council of Ibero-American Chambers in the United Kingdom and executive director of the British and Colombian Chamber of Commerce in London. Her role includes advising companies on market penetration strategies, business cross-cultural issues, company setups, and other strategic trade and investment issues. She led more than 20 trade missions to Colombia and other Latin American countries, along with leading several projects serving a number of large, mid-cap, and SMEs on market entry strategies, government relations, commercial development, and more. So she's the expert in this market. Good morning, Tania, and welcome.
Thank you, Malin, and thank you for that great introduction. I didn't know that I've done all of that, but we are delighted to join you today to talk about Latin America. We thank you to you and all the members of the Thames Valley Chamber for this invitation. We are delighted to continue disseminating information about Latin America and highlighting the opportunities available for all exporters in the UK. As Malin mentioned, yes, I run the Colombian Chamber, but we are also part of a hub of Latin American chambers based in the UK that spend most of our time supporting companies wishing to expand into Latin America. We don't do that alone. We work very closely, not only with chambers of commerce like Thames Valley and Manchester Chamber and Glasgow Chamber, but also with trade associations and the Department of International Trade in the UK through the ITAs, and in the region through the British embassies locally. So we work all together, we support each other when we have to disseminate activities. And at the chambers, we provide practical support and business support to companies when they are ready to explore the market. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of what you know on Latin America, we have included a few pictures of what you might have seen through your knowledge of Latin America, what you see in the news. What is important to mention is, yes, Latin America is a region rich in natural resources with significant mineral wealth, plenty of water, fresh water. Just to give you some numbers, to put you in context, Latin America holds 25% of the Earth forest and arable land, 30% of the world water resources, but only Brazil has 19% of water resources and Colombia 5%. 17% of silver production comes from Peru, 15% from Mexico, 9% from Chile. 77% of the corn production is produced in Brazil. 7% of gold resources are from Peru. 28% of the soybean production around the world comes from Brazil and 21% from Argentina. And in terms of biodiversity, Brazil is #1 in the world, Colombia #3, Mexico 5th, Peru 7th, Ecuador 9th, and Venezuela 11th. So that will give you a little bit of what are the strengths of Latin America in terms of resources. Next slide, please. So now in terms of resource availability, you can see that the continent is quite rich on that. Nevertheless, the region presents high level of poverty and inequality. As you can see from the Gini coefficients here, this has created a movement across Latin America towards more socialist governments. And today, only Ecuador and Panama have center or center-right governments. The rest are center-left or left. The second round of Brazilian elections will take place at the end of the month. But although the elections are very close, there is a likely result of a center-left government by Lula. So what does it mean for UK business and opportunities? Most of those center-left governments are now focusing on increasing their production, the agricultural production capabilities, and of course, change the energy matrix to more cleaner energy resources. Why? Because they want to reduce our dependency on commodity prices, which they usually associate with the lack of access and income distribution irregularities. Hence, we believe that in the short term, most of our opportunities in the region will need to offer innovative solutions to integrate water, energy, and food systems, all under the green and responsible business umbrella to be successful in the region. That's one of the messages that we want to put across to all of you. As you can also see from this slide, growth has been incredible over the last couple of years. Of course, this is mainly due to domestic consumption, more exports, and high commodity price, which has supported and reduced the fiscal imbalance as a result of COVID. So that's positive news for the region. Next slide, please. This is only to tell you, to complement what I mentioned just before. As you can see from the slide, more exports from Latin America in 2021 are related to commodities and agricultural products, with the exception of Mexico, which exports more than 90% of added value goods to US and serve as a low-cost manufacturing hub for North America. Next slide, please. Now, where do we see interesting opportunities, not only for the UK PLC, but also for SMEs across Latin America? Obviously, large infrastructure investment projects in the region require all types of expertise that in the majority of the cases do not exist locally. Some of the largest projects in the region include the one that we are including here, such as the C1 Caribbean project that aim to transport natural and liquefied gas from the US to the south. They require an investment of $20 billion. And we also have the Central Bioceanic Railway Corridor. That is a joint project between Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay, and Peru with an investment of $15 billion. That aims to build a port from Santos in Brazil to connect with the port in Ilo in Peru. This initiative is currently under pre-investment studies prepared by the Bolivian government and the Peruvian government, but the financing is practically guaranteed by the Swiss-German private consortium. There is another interesting one project in Honduras, the Maritime Bridge in Fonseca, with an investment worth of $207 million. This is in the planning stage. But of course, the idea is that to connect the Pacific with the Atlantic for Honduras, which will be quite interesting project for them in terms of logistics and transport of goods. For oil and gas in Mexico, they are building a complex, the largest refinery, the largest project in the Pemex history, which is to develop a complex with a capacity to process 340,000 barrels of oil per day. This project is still live and is in the testing phase. The Bogota Metro, Bogota and Haiti are the only countries in Latin America that do not have a metro. So this will be the first time for Colombia. The first line is already under construction, and the second line has been approved by the Colombian Congress recently. There is another train project in Panama, which is under evaluation. The idea is, of course, the possibility of a passenger and cargo train between Panama and Chiriquí, which is to reduce the number of hours of the journey from 8 to 2. This, of course, is estimated to finish in 2024. The Mayan train, which is a railway project in Mexico, is under planning, and again, it aims to connect 3 or 4 states in Mexico, and at the moment they are in feasibility studies. So as you can see, these are the main investment or the large ticket investment projects in Latin America. All of those require international expertise and a robust supply chain in the different stages of the project. So we believe that they might present opportunities for UK companies in this line of work. Next slide, Malin, please. Of course, there are other opportunities available based on what I mentioned before, which is the current needs of governments to increase competitiveness, productivity, reduce poverty. We have identified some of them sectors that might benefit most in Latin America, and that, as you can see, that will include anything to do with agri-tech based solutions or sustainability-based solutions, anything to do with software services and IT, anything to do with food and beverage machinery, such as our case study Lean, project financing, anything to do with infrastructure related services like project financing, construction, water supply, electrical power, railway construction, mass transit systems, ports. In Ecuador, the government is recently launching a new exploration phase for mining. So related services in mining will be required, for example, in Ecuador and Panama. We also had a look at the mix of companies. Next slide, please, Malin. The mix of companies attending today's webinar, and we have identified a few more opportunities to increase your appetite of exploring Latin America, which are, of course, life sciences, the construction and modernization of hospitals and the supply of hospital goods in Latin America. In Chile, there has a current tender to replace 3 or 4 hospitals in Chile. In Peru, the planning department is planning to implement 15 hospitals in Cajamarca, Lima, Huanaco, and quite a few states in Peru. And that, of course, include not only the construction of those hospitals, but the supply of hospital goods, which could be an interesting opportunity. And in Guatemala, the Ministry of Public Health have launched 3 tenders this year to build 2 hospitals and rehabilitate another one. The idea and the purpose of that is to increase to 1,000 hospital beds in all the public health system. So there is quite an opportunities there. In the music industry, Latin America is the fastest growing region in the world in terms of streaming. Only in 2020, the growth was 30%, which makes most of the income related to streaming in the whole of the region. So we believe there might be opportunities for joint ventures and partnerships in that sector. And of course, in food supply and securing food around the world, we understand that Latin America will play a significant role into that, and anything to address that challenge is welcome in the region. Next slide, Malin, please. Now, one of the most frequently asked questions that we have when doing these events is how to access these opportunities. So we not only work with strategic partners such as government agencies, chambers of commerce, trade associations, but we have several initiatives in-house to support companies, including the ones that are described here. We have an initiative called Meet the Buyer that aims to introduce exporters to buyers. We have around 6,000 buyers in our portfolio, and of course they are always looking for products and services, and we are always trying to connect them with UK exporters. We have throughout the year investment roadshows. The idea of that is to connect investors with projects, and of course there is an element of supply chain into that. We have trade missions. We are going to run a trade mission in 2023. Lynn can tell you a little bit more about that. She's an active participant in our trade missions. But we travel to the region every year at least once to not only connect with new and potential distributors and partners, but also to maintain our relations, connect with new people, create a network of contacts that might be able to support your current or future plans into the region. So I think that the message from us is that there is plenty of tools available to support you, and we'll be delighted to continue this conversation and answer any questions that you might have during the webinar and after that. I think we will share our contact details via the chats if you need them, but Malin has all my contact details too. Thank you, Malin. That's all from me.
Thank you very much, Tania. Thank you. I really learned quite a lot. So thank you.
Good.
All right, let's go forward now. Please allow me to welcome our second speaker for today. This will be Lynn Pitt, the Managing Director at DTNG Limited. It's related to chocolate. It will be very interesting. DTNG Limited designs and manufactures thin chocolate coaters and polishers, supplying to a global market for more than 50 years. Lynn leads marketing and sales negotiations, which have recently included Latin America, Argentina, and Colombia, being more specific. Over 90% of the sales are overseas, so having the best support and network opportunities are crucial. So Lynn says, trust between all parties is very important. Having the right connection can make all the difference in delivering good trade deals. Lynn also encouraged everyone to look at Latin American markets. Thank you very much for being with us, Lynn. Lynn is now in Chicago, so for her it's 20 past 5 in the morning. So thank you, Lynn, for being with us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, everybody. It is a bit earlier for me than for some other people, but I was really pleased to be invited to be part of this presentation. Through working with Tania and the Chamber, we do export, and I think that Melon's just explained to you the type of equipment that we sell and supply to the food industry. If you'd like to show the next slide, Melon. So we do export all over the world, and my company wouldn't exist if we didn't export. But it takes a lot of time to develop those relationships. So next slide, please. So this is what we do. We help people take the raw product. In this photograph, it's a peanut, coat it in chocolate and polish it. So it's a very manual operation for food producers before they start to use our equipment. But quite often it's a small business that's built up and it wants to become more efficient in its process. So my machines, the biggest one, makes 500 kilo of chocolate coated peanuts every 40 minutes. So I have a very niche market. Not everybody wants to do that, and finding that niche market is very important for any trade relationships you have overseas. So I would never have been able to have identified those companies and where there was possibilities myself. We can all do research on the internet, which is great and gives you a background, and whatever industry you are in, it gives you an idea of if your service or your product may have a market there. Because these people are very driven. I would say that they were all very exciting economies, and you have to have a good product. I'm not just saying that because I think mine is, but if you've got a good product and you've got an appetite and you can identify who it is that you can have a trade relationship with, then you are halfway there. So I would definitely suggest you use your chambers and people who've got that network of contacts and can introduce you. It also gives you far greater credibility if you've been introduced by somebody that has that is respected and it is known within the country. So I would say your next step to export is to definitely contact these people, not to try and do it yourself, because the countries are massive. So I went on the trade mission, as Tania said, and it was great. We went on mission. We went to Colombia and down to Argentina. I attended a meeting in Argentina with Tania, and I think she really negotiated my sale. So I will be eternally grateful for that. And in actual fact, that company have gone on to buy more equipment. So in the short time that I have, I'll just really focus on that successful trade relationship that I've got now. The problems that the good things are the people are lovely. They want it to work. They want to build a long-time relationship with you. They're very astute, but they're very kind. So what you have to do to develop on that is I have no language skills. It's on my bucket list, but I have no language skills. So you will probably need help with the language. They have, I would say that they have a culture where they work hard. They do want you to respond to emails, calls quite quickly. We had lots of Teams meetings as well, and I think that's important. They always have quite a few people on the Teams meeting because the relationship and the trust they build with you is, I think it's what's going to make your deal work. And I do think that you have to go there. This is just my personal opinion. I haven't asked Madeline or Tania what they think, but for me, and as well for me, any trade relationship is a two-way thing. You need to trust them, they need to trust you. You need to have an understanding of the culture and what they expect. And I think that you really need to take that time to go out and see them and develop those relationships. So I would recommend everybody to look at Latin America as a trading deal, because Latin America is massive, and it is it's a huge country. They are, especially in the coming years, really, they produce a lot of food. I know Tania's just talked about the rail structure and things, but they have quite a sophisticated food production system, and I think they're looking to develop that as well. So anybody who, but again, I'd say don't try and do it by yourself, to look for the help to do it. So this is what my machine does. Yes, you can see on this slide, that's a batch of half a ton of peanuts having chocolate put on them. Next slide, please, Malin. So, and another plus point from the chambers is Tania has a responsible business awards program that we took part in. We've taken part in for the past 2 years. If you can take part in that, have any accreditation with it at all, that will help you in promoting your company. So that's a really active thing that you can do. And next slide, please, Marlon. This is to prove that I went to Argentina, you see. I went down, it was lovely, and the social side of it is great as well, but that was me in the bar with the pirate. And next slide, please, Malin. So this is me and my team. We're a small team based in the northwest of England, but we really see our clients in Argentina, and we have a current client in Venezuela as well. They're a very important part of our business. So I hope that people decide to look at those markets, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean. Thank you. I saw that all that chocolate, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of chocolate. Yeah. So thank you very much, ladies, for the presentations. Now, Q&A. Let's have some questions. Please remember to send your questions in the Q&A facility. I've got a first question for you that I just want to clarify something. Do all countries speak Spanish in Latin America? This is my first question.
For me?
Yes, please, if that's okay.
Yes, I think that, all countries with the exception of Brazil speak Spanish. We have different accents, and it's difficult to understand each other sometimes, particularly the Chileans. But apart from that, yes, we all speak Spanish. Brazil is another thing altogether. Brazilians might understand a little bit of Spanish, but we don't really understand the Brazilian Portuguese. So for us, it's quite a challenge when we have to trade with Brazil. To add a little bit on, because we all people ask us this too, in terms of the English language, we found that only 5% of the population at very high positions speak English. So if you are in a sector that, for example, the construction sector, you will find out that 95% of the people do not speak the language, and that might be more difficult, but senior decision makers will.
Thank you very much. I've got another one from Max. Which year were the statistics you presented? So from which year were your statistics?
Most of them are 2021, a couple of them for 2020, for example, such as the business rankings. World Bank stopped the business rankings in 2019 for things that you might heard. So apart from that, we try to get the latest ones available by the official sources.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've got one for both of you ladies. Actually, I would like to hear Lynn's opinion about this one. Which countries are more friendly for first-time exporters? So which one do you think?
Which one do I think? I don't really know. And I think friendly. I think all Latin American people are friendly. I think that the thing to look at might really be the paperwork you have to do. And I think that can make a big difference. The people and the friendliness, I think that's kind of across the board. The thing that to consider really is the documentation that you might have to fulfill. Shipping can be a bit of a challenge, but there are people there who want to help you. But I definitely, Colombia is very welcoming. Obviously, I like Argentina, and I have got equipment in Venezuela, but I think that they're having their own. That wouldn't be my first choice now. I believe that Chile is very easy to deal with as well. So, I don't know. I suppose I should have a definite answer, but I would go where you had support and where the I think that the UK is just signing a new trade deal with Colombia. Is that right, Tanya?
Yes.
So it would be where there was a good trade deal and where you need, if it is actual material products that you need to send out, just check all the shipping. It's really just the phrases that you have to put on the documentation that has to be right. If you have a good shipping company, and also for me, when we shipped to Argentina, the actual company themselves were very helpful in telling us what we needed to put on those commercial invoices. So that's it. I would definitely start off with somebody where we had a trade deal.
So due diligence is very important. Due diligence is very important to understand.
Yeah.
All friendly. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything, Tanya, for this question?
No, I think that in terms of how to choose your market, of course, some commercial, evaluation of commercial viability is required if the product, the price, the competitors, environment is suitable for your product. We usually tend to recommend first markets where we believe are of significant size and are more pro-business or have the instrument in place, like Lynn mentioned, like the free trade agreements, or they are keen on doing things with the UK. So countries like that would be Mexico, Peru, Chile, Colombia. Argentina, Argentina has quite a significant links with the UK. There is some difficulties in transferring funds from one place to the other ones, but if they need something, they will acquire it, as we can see from Lynn experience. So there are challenges, but they are still open for business, and Argentina is quite a significant market anyhow. So we will always recommend to go for the countries, Pacific Alliance countries. Brazil, for example, is on its own. You need to focus only in Brazil because Brazil is massive. So in reality, we don't deal with Brazil, but there is a Brazilian chamber, and we have different partners in Brazil for companies. But in reality, I think that big markets first, and second, evaluating the commercial viability will be key.
I've just received another question. Can you give some examples of the more challenging shipping processes / documentation in Latin America? So Lynn, this is something for you. What are the main challenges, and how did you went around them in regards to processes, documentation?
Tanya's probably smiling because my last shipment to Argentina, probably there was about 2,000 emails. And I think it comes back to the trade deal things. We supply supporting equipment for our machines, some of which is dehumidification, and it's not all made in the UK. Some of the parts are sourced from Sweden. So those documents have to be absolutely truthful and exact. And because although all the equipment had been purchased from me, and I'd say 90% of it had been manufactured, produced within my workshop in the Northwest, not all of the air temperature control stuff had been. Well, that caused a lot of hassle and a lot of stress, because the trade, it was being purchased under the thing that it had all come from the UK. So we sorted it out, but it has to be, has to be very precise, very honest. And I had to put some clauses on my commercial invoices that had to be in Spanish. And of course, I don't speak Spanish. So again, that's where Tania was great, because she told me what I was signing. And it's as frustrating for me in the UK as it was for my client in Buenos Aires, because he wanted to get the equipment in, but with their their government legislation, it has to fulfill certain requirements. There is a paper that will tell you exactly what you have to do to get stuff into Argentina. But I think if you all work together and you have good shipping people, but any international trade like that, the easy thing would be if everybody did it our way, but they don't, and we have to conform to how other people do it. So it wasn't impossible, and there wasn't any extra cost financially. It was just a little bit of the time and that taken, and kind of also a little bit of frustration in that we thought we've done it now, that's what they want, and then somebody would come back and want something else. But that is part of the joy of trading internationally. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So, but it got there. So, thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Lynn. Thank you. Now, let me see what questions should I ask now. I've got one here that probably will be very good for Tania. How to find reliable distributors in the market of interest? How is the best way to find the distributors in those Latin American markets?
Thank you, Malin. This is one of the most, frequently asked questions for us. We at the chamber have specific services for that. We have, but we have also another tools that can help. We have the market development service. We have different services that such as the one that I mentioned that aims to find the right distributor for you, not any distributor, but the right one. Which is kind of the main challenge when dealing with Latin America. You can meet a lot of people, but who is going to be right for you, and that will depend. This is like a marriage. It depends on your business plan, your plans, and also it has to be enough to motivate them to work with you. We try to always work with the leading distributors. In Latin America, not every single country has the ideal distributor, so you have to be quite flexible when choosing that. But the idea is that there is quite a transparency from the beginning and conversations between both sides to understand where everybody is. So that's key. Another key tool to find distributors is the trade fairs. Of course, mainly international trade fairs. I think that, with us, our recommendation is to be very targeted, because usually when you attend expo fairs or trade fairs, there is a lot of selling to sellers. So then we will try to make sure that if you are attending a fair, there is a target audience that you have to meet, and they are specifically related to you, because we understand the cost involved in participating in a fair. So it's a little bit of work, not only trade fairs, not only directories, but also services like the chamber, like what the chamber offers. But that's kind of, I think, that mostly what we will suggest to pursue, really.
Thank you. Now, because you started to discuss about this and you presented a lot of opportunities, could you please tell us how the companies can access all of those opportunities, that, like, practically, what will be the first steps for them to, and how you can help them to...
For us, the first thing is to have a conversation, to see if we can help. What happened is that we try always to avoid duplication. So in reality, for example, it is a massive infrastructure project, a port in Peru. We know that the British Embassy has created a specific committee for infrastructure to support UK businesses. So we will connect them to them to see what support they can obtain there, and then if there is anything needed, for example, if there is more commercial focus to find a distributor that we can help with that. We have different methodologies and matrices that we follow when finding distributors. So for us, that's quite like the day-to-day business. But if you, for example, are trying to manufacture in Latin America, we will introduce you to the right team within the government that support investors, etc. So the idea is that we will try to maximize and fast track those connections in Latin America to make it possible. Our goal, we are non-for-profit, so our goal is to make sure that companies are expanding. This is our mandate. So we try to work with everybody. For example, we know, as a couple of examples, we work very closely with the ITAs in the regions. So if, for example, you want to participate in a fair in Colombia, and then we are aware that you are, for example, you are based in Manchester, and we know that Manchester is giving grants to potential expo participants. So we will try to connect you with that and link everybody so then you can access those funds, etc. So for us, we'll try to use every single tool available to make sure that you go to Latin America.
Thank you very much. You were speaking about the internationalization fund, probably. We are trying to help the companies through this tool, if I can call it like this. Thank you very much for this. I've got one for Lynn. This is quite a nice one. Now that everything is virtual, is it important to travel to those markets? Is it mandatory to be there physically?
I don't know. I think it's a bit of both. And also for me, I have to go there. I think Teams meeting are great, and I love my Teams meetings with my Latin American clients, because you do learn more about them, and you have to have a lot of contact with them. So you couldn't be there all the time. So a Teams meeting helps you maintain that level of contact and grow the confidence and respect between each other. But I'm going to say now, I do think you need to go, but that's possibly because I needed to go. I like to visit the facility that I'm sending the equipment to, so I can understand how well it's going to fit in, or if I need to recommend that they need to make certain changes so they get the full potential from the equipment, and then they're happy with it. I like all of my sales at the end to have happy customers who would buy again, as they did do in Argentina. So if you're exceptionally good at building those relationships online, then no, you don't have to go. You'll have to use that tool a lot to stay in contact with your client, whether you're selling a one-off product or you're going to have a long-term contract. I'd say you do need to go. I learned a lot. It's really interesting when you go to another country and you see their culture and what they have coming to deal with day to day. So I would recommend that people went. Maybe other people can do it without visiting. But I have this strange feeling that it's kind of a respectful thing. If I want people to be confident and invest in my equipment and be confident and invest in me, to buy equipment off me and send me money, I almost feel like you should go and see them, because they're committing. Money's hard earned in Latin American countries. They do have a lot of natural resources there, and I'm sure that in years to come they'll become wealthier. I hope so, that the government sees to that. But if they commit to you, they're committing to, in my case, quite a lot of money. So I think it's a respectful thing to go and say hello, and you'll definitely get the benefit out of it. So
business between people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Tania, do you have something to add to?
I agree with Lynn. I think it has to be a mix. We usually first exploration today can be done via virtual tools. I think that what COVID has given us is that possibility. Before that, Latin America was not that open to video conferencing facilities. I imagine many countries were not. We are very orientated to personal relations, and then therefore, it was easier to travel and meet them, and then building that trust. I think that they are all today more open to virtual conversations, but I don't think that you can replace completely the trip to Latin America. In reality, it's the only way that they can build trust. They can meet you, but in reality, you have to meet them quite a few times. We have traveled with Lynn quite a few times to Latin America. It's not a short-term opportunity, it's a long-term opportunity. You have to visit them, talk to them, connecting WhatsApp. So it's building that trust where we can guarantee that both partners believe in each other and in each other products and businesses. So no, I think that trips to Latin America are quite important.
Are there any instances where you cannot meet the clients, the customers?
What do you mean?
Like because of the, I don't know, geographical area, or are there any instances?
Yeah, we have plenty, for example, Latin America is quite huge. And in Peru, for example, I remember that we have as a case study, we have a company selling concrete particles. It's a new and innovative replacement of concrete particles within the concrete. And most of the companies, construction companies in Peru are outside Lima. And then, what it was quite an interesting proposition, because we organized all the meetings, but it was so far to go to one. And then if, for example, one of the managers were late, it was impossible to get to the other one. So in reality, there are plenty of times where you cannot go because of access, because of, traffic, because of things. So we will try to find ways, either the hotel or either Zoom or whatever. But I think that making an effort to travel, in our trade missions, we try to endorse all of those missions with participation from ambassador and briefings and receptions. So then companies are endorsed and they are building trust from day one. As Lynn mentioned, through internet, you can meet so many people, but you don't really know those companies, and then building that trust and making your mark in the market by visiting. I think that, for example, with Lynn case, when we visit the first time in Argentina, the factory for that company is not closed, and it's in the middle of a neighborhood that we didn't really know. So, but I think that they appreciate the effort that Lynn makes to visit them, visit the sites, show what they do, the innovations that they have done. So in reality, building that trust is important.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. Looking at the time, and I can say thank you very much. It was very, very informative. I really learned a lot. So thank you again. I would like to go forward to tell you about our next two events that we are partners with the Arab British Chamber of Commerce for the Arab Economic Summit on 2nd of November, and also with British Romanian Chamber of Commerce. They have an event in London, New Horizons for UK, Romania Trade and Investment. So if you want to learn more about Arab world and also about Romania, please look on our website. And I also want to tell you that we have a 10% discount for the remaining 2022 training courses dates. And that will be on thamesvalleychamber.co.uk. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much to all the people that stayed with us until now.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck. Thank you, Lynn.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Sleep now.